Hello everyone. Welcome. This is your friend, Alakazam ASMR. I hope you are all doing alright, my friends. Today, we get back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. Specifically, a structured deck, which is, of course, a beginner's pack focusing on usually a single archetype or strategy for you to play the game. They're very good for beginners learning Yu-Gi-Oh! For the first time, or even veterans looking for specific cards to add to their collection or use in their own strategies. Today, there is a particular monster that will feature very heavily, and that is this guy, the Cyber Dragon. This was a card that was released many years ago, and it was heavily featured in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, the anime, as it was used by the character Zane Truesdale. The Cyber Dragon was a level 5 light-type machine monster. It had a nice little effect, but it was a little archetype that got a lot of support over the years. So you'll see that this entire structure deck is basically originating from this card all the way back then, Cyber Dragon. Because today, our structure deck of choice is Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG Cyber Dragon Revolution. This structure deck is specifically for a Cyber Dragon strategy, which is good for people who are fans of the TV show, who want to get their own Cyber Dragons in a neat little package. It's a nice way to introduce people to the game and get some fan favorite archetypes all in one neat little box. So, let's move Cyber Dragon, the original artwork, to the side, and we'll have a look. Our poster boy for this box is a creature known as Cyber Dragon Nova, one of the many Cyber Dragon related cards that was released years later into the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. Cyber Dragon Revolution structure deck. The revolution begins anew. We have a picture of Cyber Twin Dragon above here. Get ready to wield the most legendary mechanical monster ever to grace the halls of Duel Academy. This structure deck comes with an army of Cyber Dragons that can fuse and combine to make even more fearsome cyber monsters, like Cyber Twin Dragon, or the all-new Xyz monster, Cyber Dragon Nova. The revolution has begun. Which side will you be on? It includes many Cyber Dragon related cards and a nice little Yu-Gi-Oh! Playmat, which we'll get to see. Inside this box, we have monster cards. Cyber Dragon Core, Cyber Dragon Dry, 2 regular Cyber Dragons, Cyber Dragon Zwei, 2 of them, funny enough, 2 Zwei. Proto Cyber Dragon, 2 of them, Cyber Valley, Cyber Lava ×2, Cyber Phoenix, Cyber Dinosaur, Cyber Eltonin, Armored Cybern, Satellite Cannon, ooh, that's a strange choice, Solar Wind Jammer, Jade Knight, Falchion, Reflect Bounder, another strange one, the Light Hex-Sealed Fusion, interesting, Shining Angel. In your extra deck, you have Cyber Twin Dragon, Cyber Dragon Nova, and for your spell cards, you have Cyber Repair Plant, Evolution Bust, Super Polymerization, we like that, Power Bond, we really like that, Limiter Removal, I love that, Megamorph, nice, DDR, Different Dimension Reincarnation, Mystical Space Typhoon, of course, Light of Redemption, Machina Armored Unit. And for trap cards, we have Cyber Network, Cybernetic Hidden Technology, Free of a Kind, Trap Stun, Dimensional Prison, Malevolent Catastrophe, Wabaku, and Call of the Haunted. This should be a fun video. It's not just all about cyber dragons. They've littered this little beginner's box with quite a few interesting little machine monsters, which should be very fun to talk about. Fully compatible with all the cards you already own. This revolutionary structure deck includes 38 common cards, 2 ultra rare cards, 2 super rare cards, 1 rulebook, 1 deluxe game mat, and 1 dueling guide with tips to help obliterate your foes. So, it's quite funny when you look at something from the Yu-Gi-Oh! TV show. Because a character in the show uses a particular card, it gets some support, other cards to help it perform better, to make the TV show more interesting. But it's funny when a character's card becomes so popular that it takes a life of its own. Cyber dragons are so popular that if you never saw the TV show, you'd still be exposed to these things. They are very popular, and I can understand why. I mean, cybernetic dragons that can turn into a variety of different forms, and a fun play style, which a lot of people, both beginner and expert, could easily enjoy. So, let's get into our Yu-Gi-Oh! Structure deck, Cyber Dragon Revolution. Thank you for joining me, my friends. And let's open it up. Okay. Let the unboxing begin. Let's do this delicately. There we go. And then we'll just slide this out. Whoop. Wasn't sealed perfectly, but there we go. Alright, put this to the side. So, normally, this little plastic thing keeps it together pretty well, but it was already a little bit opened. Then again, this isn't the newest structure deck. It's been out for a few years, so it may have been liable to being moved around before I purchased it. Anyways, this little plastic has everything we need. We have the cards of the structure deck, including Cyber Dragon Nova. We have Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game Cyber Dragon Revolution, your deck list. We already read that out. A little instructional pamphlet, how to play this deck, with a variety of useful information for beginners. So if you already know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh!, this is probably basic stuff to you, but it's nice to include these things for newcomers. After all, everyone should have the chance to play if they'd like. We have the official rulebook, which is always a good addition. I mean, you kind of need to know how to play the game. I don't like when games just don't include manuals, they just expect you to know. What is a monster card? Normal monsters, effect monsters, flip effects, Xyz monsters, and so on and so forth. All the useful information you need. If you forget the rules, or you're a total beginner. Either way, it's nice to have these things. And a little memo in the back if you want to write something down. I think that's a nice touch. So, that's our official rulebook over there. And one of the nicest additions, I like collecting these. I like to see all the different designs. We have the official game mat. Ooh, hello. We have an intruder. How you doing there, little kitty? Hey you. I should be putting this in the blooper reel, but she's insistent. She'll probably go away in like 2 minutes. Apologies, my friend. Okay. Are you going or are you staying? This is the most random interruption I've had. Sometimes pets can get in the way of filming videos, but this is by far like one of the worst. She's actually like lying down right in the middle of the mat. Okay. Beep beep. Beep beep. Come on. Alakazam's got to film his video. Right. I banish you to the Shadow Realm. Okay. Sorry about that, my friends. Yeah, that just happened. So, as I was saying, one thing I like to collect, and they're included in a lot of structure decks, are these amazing little things. We have a playmat. We can already see one of Cyber Dragon's heads. These little things fold out. Zoom out so you can appreciate all this goodness. Let's use the rulebook to weigh down this other side. Alright, let's see if we can get this going. Just putting various objects down here to weigh it in. Alright. Okay, what else can I weigh this down with? So yeah, you have this lovely little game mat, Cyber Dragon Revolution. You have Cyber Twin Dragon here, various other cyber monsters, and our mascot for this structure deck, Cyber Dragon Nova. You have Cyber Eltonin over there, Cyber Dragon Core, Proto Cyber Dragon hiding away there, and regular Cyber Dragon. So, it's nice to get these little game mats. I really like them. Okay. Now, let's just move this upwards a little bit, and we can get to opening the structure deck itself. In technical terms, this has kind of been a disaster because we've had interruptions from animals and having a bit of a problem setting up this game mat. Not because it's not usable, but I like to leave it as flat as possible. Okay, I think this should do. Okay, I need to straighten up. Ah, there we go. There we go. Thank you for being so patient with me, my friends. Hopefully you haven't gone insane by now, waiting on me to finally open this thing. Okay, so we have our rulebook at the side, a little cheat sheet. Well, not really cheating, but you can use this to help you learn the game. And yeah, it's a nice little way to get started in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So, sit back and relax as we begin, finally, Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, Cyber Dragon Revolution, structure deck. Please enjoy, my friends. I'm having a blast, and I hope you are too. Thank you for visiting. Now, there's always a little bit you can open here to release the plastic. Now let's see if we can find it. Where is it? Ah, there it is. There we go. Pull this little bit back. Nice and easy. Okay. Excellent. Now we can finally get started on the Cyber Dragon structure deck. So, we have the mascot for this structure deck. Starting us off, our first card is the Xyz monster known as Cyber Dragon Nova. It is a level 5 light type machine Xyz monster with an effect. Requires 2 level 5 machine type monsters. Once per turn you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card. Then target 1 Cyber Dragon in your graveyard. Special summon that target. Once per turn during either player's turn, you can banish 1 Cyber Dragon from your hand or face up from your monster card zone. This card gains 2100 attack until the end phase. If this card in your possession is sent to your graveyard by your opponent's card effect, you can special summon 1 machine-type fusion monster from your extra deck, an attack of 2100 and a defense of 1600. So, identical stats to Cyber Dragon. It's like its upgraded form. Cyber Dragon Nova can be summoned using 2 Cyber Dragons, or anything that is machine type and level 5. Now, you can special summon Cyber Dragons from your graveyard, which is a useful effect, or you can banish a Cyber Dragon from your hand or monster card zone to double this card's attack to 4200, which is really useful. 4200 attack is really powerful. And if this is destroyed by opponent's card effect, you can special summon a machine-type fusion monster. And with Cyber Dragons, there is a lot of fusion monsters. So, that is card number 1, the Cyber Dragon Nova. Overflowing with power. That is Cyber Dragon Nova. So, card number 1, our flagship monster. Card number 2 is going to be a staple of this deck and a very popular one. This card broke the game for a while. The fusion card, Cyber Twin Dragon. A light type level 2, 4, 6, 8. A level 8 machine type fusion monster with an effect. Requires 2 Cyber Dragons. A fusion summon of this card can only be done with the above fusion material monsters. Basic fusion requirements. This card can make a second attack during each battle phase. 2800 attack and 2100 defense. So it's pretty straightforward. It does 2800 points of damage and it can attack twice. Now, that's pretty decent. But machine types are one of the most popular monster types in the game. So there's lots of cards that can make machine monsters even more powerful. So, you can get some cards to give Cyber Twin Dragon a ridiculous amount of attack. Being able to attack twice is sometimes all it needs to kill your opponent in a single turn. And that is the power of the Cyber Twin Dragon, a vital component in any Cyber Dragon deck, because it only takes 2 Cyber Dragons to summon this thing, and there's all kinds of possibilities if you can pull it off right. Plus, it's got a really cool design. 2 completely different Cyber Dragons fused together, but they all have their own unique spin. This one has this kind of yellow energy thing on its hand, and this one has a blue pattern, so it differentiates them, which I think is quite a nice touch. So, that is our extra deck monsters. We have an Xyz and a fusion monster. Now, next card's going to be an effect monster called Cyber Dragon Core, a level 2 light type machine monster. Get used to me saying light type machine because there's going to be a lot of them in this video. Now, it's a machine with an effect. When this card is normal summoned, add 1 cyber, spell, or trap card from your deck to your hand. If your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Special summon one Cyber Dragon monster from your deck. You can only use one Cyber Dragon core effect per turn, and only once that turn. This card's name becomes Cyber Dragon while it is on the field or in the graveyard. An attack of 400 and a defense of 1500. This card can do many little tricky things to help you with your Cyber Dragon strategies. But one of the biggest things is that when it's in the graveyard or on the field, its name becomes Cyber Dragon, which fits the requirements to summon, say, Cyber Twin Dragon. You wouldn't be able to summon Cyber Dragon Nova because it's a level 2, but Cyber Twin Dragon's requirements, you need to fusion summon with 2 Cyber Dragons. So if you change the name of Cyber Dragon Core to Cyber Dragon, it's allowed to be used as a fusion material. So this can be a useful substitution for summoning something like Cyber Twin Dragon, or even its improved form, Cyber End Dragon. In fact, I'll get to that later. So, that was card number 3, Cyber Dragon Core. Our next card's going to be, we have the level 4 light type machine monster, Cyber Dragon 3. A little bit of German in there, I appreciate that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, how did I do? Anyways, Cyber Dragon 3, level 4 light type machine monster with an effect. When this card is normal summoned, you can make all Cyber Dragons you currently control become level 5. You cannot special summon any monsters during the turn you activate this effect, except machine type monsters. If this card is banished, you can target one Cyber Dragon you control. It cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects this turn. This card's name becomes Cyber Dragon while it is on the field or in the graveyard. So, Cyber Dragon 3 can be used as fusion material for Cyber Dragons because, like Cyber Dragon Core, it can become plain Cyber Dragon. How useful is that? And also, when this card is summoned, all Cyber Dragons you control in the field become level 5. Yeah. So, say you had a Cyber Dragon Core in the field, and then you summoned Cyber Dragon 3. Both Cyber Dragon 3 would become level 5, because it counts as Cyber Dragon when it's in the field. And so with Cyber Dragon Core, because when it's in the field, it counts as Cyber Dragon 2. So, you would have 2 Cyber Dragons to do anything you want with, to mess around. And that's the fun of these cards, the potential that is unleashed when you use its effect in such a manner. And that is Cyber Dragon 3, Cyber Dragon 3. Our next card's going to be, of course, our plain old Cyber Dragon. Now, let's go over what a plain Cyber Dragon does. It's a level 5 light type machine monster. Pretty cool design. Get a look at that. Machine with an effect. If your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. An attack of 2100, a defense of 1600. So, if you're in a pinch, opponent's got monsters and you don't, you get to special summon this. A level 5 monster and 2100 attack. So even without this entire archetype, it's a useful card to have, because you can still do a normal summon as well as special summoning this. And that was Cyber Dragon. I'm going to assume there's another 2 in here. Let's find out. Oh, we got one plain Cyber Dragon. So, our next card is Cyber Dragon 2. Cyber Dragon 2. Cyber Dragon 2. Just checking I'm pronouncing it right. 2. Anyways, Cyber Dragon 2, level 4 light type monster. Machine with an effect. If this card attacks an opponent's monster, it gains 300 attack during the damage step only. Once per turn, you can reveal one spell card in your hand. This card's name becomes Cyber Dragon until the end phase. This card's name also becomes Cyber Dragon while it is in the graveyard. So, it's going to attack at 1500 and a defense of 1000. You have to use a little bit of a cost by revealing one of your spell cards, but even this can act as a plain Cyber Dragon. So you can get up to all kinds of shenanigans with Cyber Dragon 2, Cyber Dragon Zwei. Our next card is going to be... In fact, it seems appropriate because you have Cyber Dragon 2, 3. So we have a second Cyber Dragon Zwei. We also have another Cyber Dragon, but there's a difference. This Cyber Dragon, it does all the same things as the original, but it has a different artwork. Sometimes cards get popular enough where they'll get redrawn. So this is the original appearance of Cyber Dragon. And this is the redrawn artwork. So this one is more dark silvery in color. Dark gray silver. Pretty cool. It looks a little bit more evil in this one. Whereas this looks more like a light. Like if you told me this was a dark attribute machine, I'd believe you. And this was a light type machine. But they both function exactly the same way. It's just a change in artwork, which I think is a pretty cool touch. There's a lot of cards where I actually prefer some of the original artworks, and others where I prefer the alternate artwork. It's all down to personal taste. And that is our alternate artwork, Cyber Dragon. It's nice of them to include both. So, our next card is an old school one, and one I remember when it first came out. The level 3 light type, well, light machine type, Proto Cyber Dragon. Now, look at that design. It's pretty cool, isn't it? The Prototype Cyber Dragon. It's a machine with an effect. This card's name becomes Cyber Dragon while it is on the field. An attack of 1100 and a defense of 600. So, this card came out at the same time as the original Cyber Dragon, but before things like Cyber Dragon Zwei and Drei. This was kind of the predecessor to such cards, impersonating the name of Cyber Dragon, to be used in polymerization and such tactics. So you can see Konami getting a little idea of what to do later on with these cards from this one, acting as Cyber Dragon in name, which is very useful in certain situations. So our next card's going to be another Proto Cyber Dragon. So let's just observe the artwork. Really like that. So that is Proto Cyber Dragon. Our next card's going to be the level 1 light type Cyber Valley. Kind of a creepy looking face. Now, it's a level 1 light type machine monster with an effect. You can use one of these effects. When this card is targeted for an attack by an opponent's monster, you can banish this card, draw one card, and then end the battle phase. Or, you can target one face-up monster you control and this card, banish both that target and this card, then draw 2 cards. Or, you can target one card in your graveyard, banish this card and 1 card from your hand, then place that target on top of the deck. An attack and defense of 0. So this is kind of your sabotage card. You can get up to all sorts of things. You can attack or defend with it, but you can choose to end the battle phase, or banish this card and draw 2 cards, or place a target on top of the deck. You can get up to all kinds of tricky shenanigans with Cyber Valley, which is this card here. So, our next card's going to be the kind of cute level 1 light type, Cyber Lava, like a child form of a giant Cyber Dragon. Level 1 light type, machine with an effect. If this face-up card is targeted for an attack, you take no battle damage for the rest of this turn. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Cyber Lava from your deck, an attack of 400 and a defense of 600. So, if you have this in the field and it's targeted for an attack, you take no battle damage for the rest of the turn. And when this is destroyed by battle, you can summon another Cyber Lava from your deck. So it's a good way of sponging damage away from your opponent. And that's the cute Cyber Lava. And our next card's going to be another Cyber Lava. Because it's a structure deck, you will get some repeats, because there are some cards you want to have more than one of in your deck. There wouldn't be much point in having a single Cyber Lava in your deck if you didn't have a second one to summon from. So, that is Cyber Lava number 2. Our next card is going to be... This card isn't incredibly useful. I enjoy it, but I really love the artwork on this one. We have the Fire type level 4 Cyber Phoenix. Look at this design. This looks like something out of Final Fantasy. Like they took the Phoenix summon and made it like Mecha. Like Neo Phoenix or something. I love the design. Cyber Phoenix, a machine with an effect. While this card is in attack position, negate any spell or trap effects that target exactly one machine-type monster you control, and no other cards. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can draw one card, an attack of 1200 and a defense of 1600. So this thing isn't exactly a powerhouse, but you can protect exactly one machine monster you control, and only that machine. And then when this is destroyed by battle, you get the draw card, which is a nice little effect. But I mainly appreciate this card for the artwork. It looks really, really nice. So, that was the Fire type Cyber Phoenix. Kind of strange they made it Fire type, but then again, Phoenixes are known for their flames. So I guess that makes sense. It still has its inherent Phoenix nature in there. So our next card's going to be... Now, talking about cool, Cyber Dinosaur. Dinosaurs are cool enough as it is, but cybernetic? Alright. A light type level 2, 4, 6, 7. A level 7 Cyber Dinosaur, which is a light type monster machine with an effect. When your opponent special summons a monster from their hand, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. An attack of 2500 and a defense of 1900. So think of this thing like your enforcer. If your opponent gets up to something crazy and special summons a monster, which is incredibly common in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's your bread and butter in some cases. So, your opponent special summons a monster. Then your big badass Cyber Dinosaur comes to say, hey, now I'm here. And it's got 2500 attack, it's pretty useful. Plus, love the design. Cyber Dinosaur shows up just in time when a special summon is initiated. So, our next card's going to be... We have the level 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. The level 10 light machine type monster, Cyber Eltonin. Elton John? I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm pretty sure it's not Elton John. Anyways, Cyber Eltonin. Damn, I talk about some stupid crap sometimes, seriously. Anyways, machine effect. Cannot be normal summoned or set. must be special summoned from your hand by banishing all light machine type monsters from your side of the field and your graveyard. Key detail. It cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card's attack and defense become the number of monsters banished for its special summon times 500. When this card is special summoned, send all other face-up monsters on the field to the graveyard. An attack and defense? Undetermined. Unknown. So, this is a level 10 monster, which wipes all face-up cards from the field, and then gains 500 attack for every light machine type monster that it banishes from your field and graveyard. So, say you banished 10 light type machine monsters, Cyber Eltonin would gain 5,000 attack points. And it can be special summoned. So, say you banish 10 light type machine monsters, you have a 5,000 attack monster that is special summoned, and then you still have your regular summon on top of that, if you're lucky, making this a very useful, powerful monster in a pinch. It is risky banishing so many cards, but in modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! Banishing can sometimes be an advantage, depending how your strategy goes. Banishment used to be such a big blow to a lot of decks, but in some cases it might actually help them. So this is kind of supposed to be a heavy side effect, banishing your cards, but there's a lot of ways to get them back. So it's up to your personal preference. But here is Cyber Elton John. Okay, enough messing around. Cyber Eltonin. I hope you're enjoying this video, my friends. I'm having fun. I'm getting to just sit back and relax and just enjoy what I do. And I hope you get to relax and just take it easy. I really hope these videos bring something to you. Anyways, let's continue on chilling out. Now, Cyber Eltonin, our next card, is the level 4 wind type Armored Cyber. Kind of strange looking machine. It's a union type monster. Once per turn, you can either target one Cyber Dragon you control or one fusion monster you control that lists Cyber Dragon as a fusion material monster. Equip this card to that target. Or you can unequip this card and special summon it in face-up attack position. Once per turn. While equipped to a monster by this effect, you can target one face-up monster in the field. The equipped monster loses exactly 1,000 attack, and if it does, destroy that target. A monster can only be equipped with one union monster at a time. If the equipped monster would be destroyed, destroy this card instead. An attack of 0 and a defense of 2,000. So, Armored Cyber is the kind of support mechanism of a Cyber Dragon monster. It attaches to Cyber Dragon, and it can choose to detach. Following me so far? Then, when it's equipped to a monster by this effect, you can target one face-up monster in the field. The equipped monster loses. So basically you can reduce the equipped monster by 1,000 attack. Ooh. Yeah, you can get up to all kinds of interesting stuff with this. I mean, there's a lot of cards that are applicable to this effect. So you can brainstorm for yourself and find some fun things to do with Armored Cyber. Kind of strange it's a wind type monster, but hey, variety is the spice of life. So, our next card's going to be... Now, this is an interesting one. We have a level 5 light type, Satellite Cannon. This is a very unusual card. It was in the anime, I believe, for 1 or 2 episodes. During that virtual world... What was it? The virtual world arc? I can't remember who exactly used it. Was it Noah? One of the big 5? It might have been one of the big 5, actually. You got this really cool scene in the anime where Kaiba's Blue Eyes White Dragon flew into outer space and destroyed the satellite cannon. Why? because of Satellite Cannon's effect. This card cannot be destroyed by battle with a level 7 or lower monster. During each of your end phases, this card gains 1000 attack. If this card attacks, this increased attack returns to 0 after damage calculation. An attack and defense of 0. So, Satellite Cannon is interesting in a Cyber Dragon deck because it is a level 5 light type machine monster, meaning it's applicable to quite a few other cards. Now, on its own, Satellite Cannon sits on the field. It can't be destroyed by battle by anything less than level 7. So, level 7 and below can't destroy Satellite Cannon. Every turn it gains 1000 attack, and then when it attacks it goes back to 0. So it's like a big, apologies there, sorry about that. It's a big charged energy beam, kind of like those Independence Day style lasers, the ones you see in the movie. The big satellite's charging up its energy, and when it releases, bang! So in the anime, Kaiba had to use his Blue Eyes White Dragon because it was a high enough level to destroy the Satellite Cannon. And you get a really cool scene of a dragon flying into space. I mean, it's a really cool visual. So, Satellite Cannon, an unusual pick for a structure deck like this, but you can definitely find some uses for it. And it's a fun little gimmick card. That is Satellite Cannon. Nice little detailing there. Okay, our next card's going to be another level 5 light type machine that isn't a Cyber Dragon. The level 5 light type Solar Windjammer. Machine with an effect. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, but its original attack and defense become halved. During each of your standby phases, increase the level of this card by 1. There can only be one Solar Windjammer on the field. So, every turn, this card's level goes up by 1, but the interesting thing is, it starts off at 5, which is applicable enough to count as a level 5 monster, which can be used to summon Cyber Dragon Nova. Because it doesn't specify it has to be a Cyber Dragon, it just has to be a level 5 light type machine. So it can be a Cyber Dragon, Solar Windjammer, or even Satellite Cannon on the field. It doesn't matter if it's level 5 light type machine. You can summon Big Boy Cyber Dragon Nova to the field. And that is Solar Windjammer. Our next card's going to be the level 4 light type machine monster. Excuse me. The level 4 light type Jade Knight. I love the color scheme there. Jade Knight. Machine with an effect. While this card is in attack position, machine-type monsters you control with 1200 or less attack cannot be destroyed by trap effects. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can add one level 4 light-type machine monster from your deck to your hand. So, when it's in attack position, this card has 1000 attack and 1800 defense. But being in attack position, its weaker stat. Machine-type monsters you control with 1200 or less attack cannot be destroyed by trap effects, so it includes itself. And when it's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can add a level 4 light machine-type monster from your deck to your hand. So it's a good way of searching some machine-type monsters, and an unorthodox pick for a Yu-Gi-Oh! Cyber Dragon structure deck. And that is the Jade Knight. This cool little Jade space fighter jet. And our next card's going to be I don't know how to pronounce this. Is it Falchion? Falchion? I don't know if it's trying to be like the weapon, you know, a sword, a falchion, a falchion. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know that symbol. Is that supposed to be beta? I'm pretty sure that's the symbol for beta. Falchion beta. Let's just call it that for now. Let me know in the comments what it's supposed to be pronounced. Is it falchion? 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 I think it's falchion. We'll see how the comments go. Go ahead, my friends. Correct me. Improve my content. It's a level 4 light type machine monster, Falchion Beta. Machine with an effect. If this card destroys an Let me try that again. This video is going very smoothly. No hiccups whatsoever. Machine with an effect. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, activate one of these effects. Send one light machine type monster with 1200 or less attack from your deck to your graveyard. Or target one light machine type monster with 1200 or less attack in your graveyard and special summon that target. Attack of 1200 and a defense of 800. So this card, you can send your weaker light type machines to the graveyard or resurrect them, meaning you can get up to all kinds of interesting plays with a card like this. You could send Cyber Dragon's Vi to the graveyard from your deck. Or, if one's already in the graveyard, bring it back. And then suddenly, you've got a card that counts as Cyber Dragon and another machine on the field. So you can get up to all kinds of interesting stuff. Falchion Beta. And our next card's going to be... Ooh! We have the level 4 light type machine, Reflect Bounder. I believe this was used in the anime by Esperoba, the kind of weird looking, green haired psychic character who used the iconic Jinzo, which Joey Wheeler eventually obtained, which is like one of the coolest cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! History, and one of the most powerful. Jinzo was really cool. Anyways, Reflect Bounder is a level 4 light type machine monster. Machine with an effect. Before damage calculation, if this card is being attacked by an opponent's monster and was in face-up attack position at the start of the damage step, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attacking monster's attack. If you do after damage calculation, destroy this card. An attack of 1700 and a defense of 1000. So, if this card's in face-up attack position and is being attacked, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attacking monster's attack. So, you can rebound your opponent's damage right at them. Hence why it's called Reflect Bounder. But as soon as it reflects damage from an attacking monster, it's destroyed. So that's the trade-off. It's almost kind of like Magic Cylinder, which is an infamous trap card, because sometimes you could have the ultimate gameplay ready. You could have everything perfect and go in with a big, powerful final attack. And then something like Magic Cylinder has an effect just like this, where it just goes, okay, you take that damage instead. Game over. Sometimes even the most brilliant Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategies can be ended with a single effect. And something like this can definitely fit that category. You're more likely to see Magic Cylinder than Reflect Bounder, but you never know. You may see this in a card. Or you may see this in a deck someday. But until then, it's a fun little gimmicky machine type card. And that was Reflect Bounder. Our next card's going to be... Ooh. This is where we get into really dirty tactics. We have the level 3 light type, the Light Hex Sealed Fusion. Now, this thing's very strange, but let's explain what it is. It's a rock type monster. Very different. Now, you can substitute this card for any one fusion material monster, but the other fusion material monster must be correct. You can tribute fusion material monsters on the field, including this face-up card. Special summon one corresponding light fusion monster from your extra deck, an attack of 1000 and a defense of 1600. This card is part of an archetype called Hex Sealed Fusion. they cover all the different attributes. So you have one for fire, water, and so on and so forth. So this can be used as a substitution for a fusion of a specific attribute, in this case, light. So say you have a Cyber Dragon, and you don't have a second Cyber Dragon. Well, the light hex-sealed fusion can substitute as the other Cyber Dragon, but the other material has to be correct, which it is. So, using these two, you can then summon Cyber Twin Dragon. A useful little play. I love cards that let you substitute fusion materials. So you'll have things like King of the Swamp, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of cards like Elemental Hero Prisma, King of the Swamp, even Beast King of the Swamp back in the day, Vertigo the Destroyer, Goddess with the Third Eye. What else? What else can substitute as a fusion? There's that many out there. It's a very useful effect to draw something and go, I can use this to fusion summon something. So, the light hex-sealed fusion is a useful card to have. Even if it's a rock type, it's still very useful in a deck like this, where the fusion cards are very strong. So our next card's going to be another unusual pick, but also one that makes sense. We have the level 4 light type, Shining Angel. Now, we've got a deck full of machines. Why do we have this angel on our side? Well, is a fairy with an effect. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one light monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck in face-up attack position, an attack of 1400 and a defense of 800. So, you can summon Shining Angel to the field. When it's destroyed, you can take a light monster with less than 1500 attack and summon it to your field, an attack position. So, you wouldn't be able to summon Cyber Dragon because it's so powerful. It's above 1500 with 2100 attack. But you can summon something such as, let's see, you can summon... Oh, here's an interesting one. I never thought about that for a second. You can summon Satellite Cannon directly from your deck in face-up attack position, because even though it's level 5, it doesn't have more than 1500 attack. So you can have Satellite Cannon gain 1000 attack if it doesn't get destroyed at the end of the turn. Or, alternatively, you could summon a Jade Knight, a Proto Cyber Dragon, a Cyber Dragon Core, a Cyber Lava, Cyber Phoenix. There's a lot of weaker machine monsters that you can summon in this deck because they're light attribute. Okay, you wouldn't be able to summon Cyber Phoenix or Armored Cybern, but the vast majority of cards in this structure deck are light attribute, so you can do quite a lot of things with them, which I think is very useful. So, we have our Guardian Angel, Shining Angel. Love his design too, very serene. And so our next card's going to be, we get into our magic cards, or spell cards. I'm a bit old school, so sometimes I still catch myself calling them magic cards. I'm showing my age here. So, we have the spell card Cyber Repair Plant. If Cyber Dragon is in your graveyard, you can activate one of these effects. If you have 3 or more Cyber Dragons in your graveyard at activation, you can activate both effects at once and resolve in sequence. You can only activate one Cyber Repair Plan per turn. First effect, you can add one light machine type monster from your deck to your hand, or target one light machine type monster in your graveyard, shuffle that target into the deck. So, if you have a Cyber Dragon in your graveyard, you can activate one of these effects on its own. But if you have all 3 in the graveyard at the same time, you can do both these effects at once, which is adding one from your deck to your hand, or a light type machine monster in your graveyard. Yeah. This is an interesting little card. It's kind of like your second chance. If your Cyber Dragons are destroyed, you can assemble your other light machine type monsters. So it is pretty much, whenever the Cyber Dragons get obliterated, you can always repair them. Hence, Cyber Repair Plant. Look at this poor little Cyber Dragon. Been destroyed, but being brought back to life. You can even see another cyber monster in the hangar there, which I think is a cool little touch to the artwork. And that is our first spell card, Cyber Repair Plant. Next card's going to be the spell card known as Evolution Bust. The spell card has a really nice artwork of Cyber Dragon going on the offensive. Very cool looking. I love the eyes and the beam attack. So, if you control a Cyber Dragon, target one card your opponent controls. Destroy that target. Cyber Dragons cannot attack the turn you activate this card. So, it's a very straightforward effect. If you have a Cyber Dragon in the field, you can take one of your opponent's monsters and destroy it. But all of your Cyber Dragons can't attack the turn you activate this card. So it's a kind of, okay, if it's not powerful enough to destroy it in its own, you can use this spell card to get rid of it for you. But then you can't use all your Cyber Dragons after that target's destroyed. So it's a way to balance out this spell card. And that is Evolution Bust, which is one of the nicest artworks, actually, this entire structure deck. And our next card's going to be... Now, we can get into this one big time. The spell card known as Super Polymerization. Polymerization is one of the most essential and most used cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! History because it's very simple. It allows you to fuse monsters together. That's all it did. You wanted to use fusion monsters, you used polymerization. It was the first card to let you do that. Now, you have super polymerization, different variants of a classic and essential card. And you'll see why this is special. Super polymerization. Discard one card. Fusion one, fusion one. Okay, let's read it properly. Discard one card. Fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from either side of the field as fusion materials. Cards and effects cannot be activated in response to this card's activation. So, basically this one's a bit different. Rather than just take your things together and fuse a monster, you have to discard a card to activate this, so there's a cost to using it. Then, when you fusion summon your monster, you're not only using your own monsters, but you can potentially use your opponent's monsters. Let me explain. Say you wanted to summon Cyber Twin Dragon, which requires 2 Cyber Dragons. Now, let's imagine, for talking's sake, your opponent had a Cyber Dragon on the other end of their field. So, you can use super polymerization. So, there's the opponent's Cyber Dragon, and there's ours. I wouldn't be able to fusion summon with just one Cyber Dragon, but with super polymerization, I'm allowed to use monsters from either side of the field. So this is where this card becomes really, really powerful. You can actually use your opponent's monsters. Now, the likelihood of your opponent using Cyber Dragon at the same time as you is very unlikely, but this card is extremely useful in many decks where they aren't so specific on the cards needed. Say you needed to use 2 dragon monsters. Dragons are one of the most, if not the most popular character types in the game. I'm pretty sure dragon's the most popular type. Yeah, if dragon is not the most popular, I'll be amazed. I'm pretty sure it's dragon, warrior, and machine that are the 3 most popular types of monster. So, Say you wanted to summon something and you needed 2 dragons. If you had one in your own field and the opponent had one, you could use super polymerization to snatch theirs away, basically giving you a really powerful advantage. I may not have explained super polymerization all that great, but that's pretty much how it works. Getting to snatch your opponent's monsters is fusion material. All you gotta do is make sure your opponent's monsters are applicable to your fusion summon. And that was super polymerization. I may not be able to explain it as greatly as others, and that's okay. Hopefully you're enjoying me rambling on about these cards, because we all know I can do that for a really excessive amount of time. But if it's fun along the way, it's worth it. So, super polymerization. Our next card's going to be one of the key cards in this deck, and it was actually given a feature in the anime, the spell card known as Power Bond. This little guy welding into the steel here. Fusion summon 1 machine type fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or your side of the field as fusion materials, and it gains attack equal to its original attack. During the end phase of the turn this card is activated, you take damage equal to the amount of attack gained from this effect at the time of the summon. So, basically Power Bond lets you fuse 2 monsters together. Well, not specifically 2. Basically, Power Bond lets you make a fusion monster if it's a machine, and then it gains attack equal to its original attack. Now, let's take... Let me see if I can find it. I've got another one sitting around here somewhere. Alright. Let's take Cyber Twin Dragon. Summon Cyber Twin Dragon using Power Bond as your polymerization. Cyber Twin Dragon will now gain attack equal to its attack. So, 2800 plus 2800 equals 5600. And this is a card that can attack twice. So, what is that in total? 5600 plus 5600 is 112. Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah. 10,160 damage in total. I hope I'm counting that up right and I'm not getting confused. But, yeah. All in all, Cyber Twin Dragon gains the effect of Power Bond, and it gets an incredible attack boost. But at the end of the turn, you take damage equal to the attack gained. This makes it a very powerful card to use. But it's also a kind of like killing blow card. You use it when you know you're going to win, because the damage you can receive can be really devastating. I've personally used Power Bond in Ancient Gear decks and Cyber Dragon decks. Things with big, powerful machines that will be able to defeat the opponent before you can take the damage penalty for using it. They made this part of Cyrus Truesdale's character development in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, as Cyrus had the Power Bond card, but Zane basically used Power Bond and understood the consequences of using it incorrectly, whereas Cyrus was kind of like, hey, Power Bond's amazing, but you gotta win with this card, or the results can be devastating. And that was Power Bond. So, our next card's going to be an old school card, and one of my personal favorites for how it's really fun to use, but also extremely dangerous. That's what makes it so exciting. We have the spell card, Limiter Removal. Limit Break, if you will. Double the attack of all machine-type monsters you controlled at both the activation and the resolution of this card. Until the end phase, during the end phase, destroy those monsters. So, this spell card basically, you double the attack of all your machine monsters, and then at the end phase, destroy them. So, say somehow you had 3 Cyber Dragons out in the field at once. They've all got 2100 attack. Well, they're all machine types. All of them will gain double attack. So, you'd have 3 Cyber Dragons on the field with 4200 attack. The only catch is, at the end phase, all 3 of them are going to be wiped out. But limiter removal is really fun because it applies to any machine monsters you have. It's not specifically Cyber Dragons. So if you like using machine monsters, this is kind of your I'm going for the win, because the penalty is high, losing your machine monsters, but they all gain double attack. It's like you're overclocking the power on the machine because you need to win. And if you win, you don't have to worry about the consequences of losing your card. I, once again, have used this card alongside Power Bond in an Ancient Gear deck to power up my monsters to be so powerful that I don't have to worry about the damage afterwards. If the enemy's defeated, it doesn't matter what happens afterward. It doesn't exist. Unless you go to the next round. But that game is over. And that is limiter removal. A very fun and surprisingly old spell card. For being such an old card, you think it would have waned in terms of strength, but it's still very usable. It may not be as popular as it once was, but it's still very, very useful to this day. Especially since machine-type monsters are so popular in Yu-Gi-Oh! And that is limiter removal. Our next card's going to be another old school card. And once again, a dangerous one. Megamorph. Spell card. Megamorphin time. While your life points are lower than your opponent's, the equipped monster's attack becomes double its original attack. While your life points are higher, the equipped monster's attack becomes half its original attack. So, Megamorph is a double-edged sword. If your life points are lower than your opponent's, then the monster this is equipped to gains double its attack. But then, if you have more life points than your opponent, it will lose its attack. So it's basically very powerful when you're losing the game, and detrimental when you're winning the game. So it's ideal to use this in a situation where you defeat the opponent before they get to reap the benefits of being on the other side of this card. Because the balancing effect is, if you use this to gain an advantage, it becomes a disadvantage. But if you defeat the opponent before they get the chance to reap that benefit, it really becomes a useful card. I've used this in a Demise King of Armageddon deck, where I could use Demise King of Armageddon's life point cost to destroy all the cards on the field, and then use Megamorph. Since my life points would be lower than my opponent's, he would gain double attack, which in some cases was enough to destroy the opponent outright. I love these kind of spell cards that can be used no matter what archetype or attribute. They're just useful overall. And Megamorph's a very good little spell card. I love it very much. It's Megamorphin time. And that was, of course, Megamorph. Our next card's going to be the spell card. DDR. No, not Dance Dance Revolution, but Different Dimension Reincarnation. Spell card. This guy really looks like Kaiba when he loses to Exodia, the same facial expression. The fact he can pull off that facial expression is kind of creepy, but DDR, Different Dimension Reincarnation. Discard one card, then target one of your banished monsters, special summon it in face-up attack position, and equip it with this card. When this card leaves the field, destroy the equipped monster. So, this card is quite a lot like the banished version of Call of the Haunted. You discard a card, and you bring back one of your banished monsters. But if this card goes, the monster goes. And if the monster goes, this card goes. You see where I'm going with this. So, it's a banishment revival card, which can be useful in a pinch. Because if you banish cards for Cyber Eltonin, you can bring one of them back, although it's on a lifeline, so to speak. But a useful card nonetheless, and that is DDR, Different Dimension Reincarnation. Our next card's going to be a classic, and still extremely useful, spell card called Mystical Space Typhoon. This is one of the most popular cards in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. Very simple. Here's why. Target one spell or trap card in the field. Destroy that target. That's it. Target any spell or trap in the field and wipe it out. No negative effects, just wipe out one spell or trap. Can be used on your own ones, if your strategy, that would be an advantage. You can use it to your opponent. The only reason this card is not used in a completely absurd amount of decks right now is because there are cards that have come out that are more powerful than this. But the simplicity of this is why it has stayed so powerful over the years. Just pick one spell or trap and wipe it out. That's it. No negative effects. I lose a card, you lose a card. Very useful. And that is the Mystical Space Typhoon. Next card's going to be the spell card known as the Light of Redemption. And a really cool artwork here. Light of Redemption. Pay 800 life points. Then target one of your banished light monsters. Add that target to your hand. So, pretty simple. Pay 800 life points and take one of your banished light monsters and add it to your hand. It's pretty simple. So, if you've got a banished Cyber Dragon lying around, pay 800 life points and you get it back. Very simple, very straightforward, and very fun. And that is the Light of Redemption. Our next card's going to be the spell card Machina Armored Unit. Very dynamic artwork here. So, once per turn, when a machine-type monster is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one machine-type monster from your deck that has the same attribute and less attack than that destroyed monster in the graveyard. In layman's terms, if one of your machines is destroyed, summon its little brother or sister in its place. So, you get a machine monster destroyed and it's level 5, summon anything lower than level 5 that has the same attribute, of course. That's pretty much how Machina Armored Unit goes. A fun, simple little spell card. And our next card's going to be getting into the trap cards now. So, we have the trap card, a continuous one, called Cyber Network. You can see all the other cyber cards here. You can see Cyber End Dragon, Cyber Dragon Zwei. I can't remember if that's Dry or Zwei. Plain Cyber Dragon, Cyber Dragon Nova, Twin Dragon, Eltonin. Yeah, they're all there. Cyber Network is a continuous trap card, meaning it stays on the field when you play it. Destroy this card during your first standby phase after activation. Once per turn, if Cyber Dragon is on the field, you can banish one light machine type monster from your deck. When this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, special summon as many of your banished light machine type monsters as possible. If you do, destroy all spell and trap cards you control. Monsters that were special summoned by this effect cannot activate their effects, and you cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this effect. So, this is a card with a trade-off. When it's destroyed, you can special summon as many of your banished light machine type monsters, and then destroy all your own spell and traps, and then those monsters can't activate their effects, and you can't activate your battle phase. So it's a kind of mass revival card. You can bring back a lot of your banished monsters as an ultimate failsafe, but you can't capitalize on it for an entire turn. So it's up to you if this card is worth using in your deck, but it's definitely got a powerful and potent effect. And that is our trap card, Cyber Network. Our next card is going to be the trap card known as Cybernetic Hidden Technology. Another continuous trap. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can send to the graveyard one Cyber Dragon you control, or one fusion monster you control that lists Cyber Dragon as the fusion material monster. Then target the attacking monster. Destroy that target. Basically, by sacrificing a Cyber Dragon, you can take the opponent down with you. And there's a lot of things that can count as Cyber Dragon in this deck, besides Cyber Dragons themselves. You can have Cyber Dragon 3, 2 acting as that, or Cyber Dragon Core. So you can have a potentially weaker monster take out something even more powerful than itself, using something like Cybernetic Hidden Technology. And our next trap card is going to be the trap card known as Free of a Kind. And look who's featured on the artwork. Power Bond, Cyber Dragon 2, Cyber Dragon, and Proto Cyber Dragon. Out of curiosity, who's the opponent playing? X-Saber... I can't read that. Let me see if I can read that. X-Saber Airbellum. And he has a Summoner Monk. And a Rescue Cat on the right. I recognize that little kitty. Cute. Anyways, trap card, Free of a Kind. If you control 3 or more monsters with the same name, except tokens, target 3 cards your opponent controls. Destroy those targets. So, if you have 3 Cyber Dragons on the field, you can wipe out 3 of your opponent's cards. And it can be anything. It can be spells, traps, monsters. You pick. You just need to have 3 of the same card, Free of a Kind, to activate this effect. A bit tricky to pull off, to be honest, but not completely impossible. And that is Free of a Kind. A fun, dangerous, but very useful card if you pull it off right. Next card is Trap Stun. Cool artwork. We have Royal Command in the artwork, Royal Oppression, Imperial Order, and what's that other one behind there? Can't tell. So, Trap Stun is a trap card. Negate all of the trap card effects on the field this turn. So, it doesn't destroy traps, it just stops them for a turn. That's it. Trap Stun. As simple as that. I like cards that have like a single line of text that just like, okay, you're not attacking, or you're not drawing a card. I like the simplicity of cards like that, because they can be very simple despite how simple they are. And that is Trap Stun. Our next card is going to be the trap card, Dimensional Prison. Very cool artwork. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, target an attacking monster. Banish that target. So, you're getting attacked by something, regardless if it's weaker or stronger. You can activate this and banish it to the Shadow Realm, or wherever banishment occurs in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore. So, Dimensional Prison, a useful way to banish your opponent's monsters. And our next card is going to be the trap card, Malevolent Catastrophe. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy all spell and trap cards on the field. That's very useful, actually. Opponent declares an attack, including yourself and your opponent, all spell and traps, gone. Very, very useful. Simple, but potentially dangerous if your deck isn't equipped to recover from such damage. Malevolent Catastrophe. we have only 2 cards left in the structure deck, so let's enjoy them while we can. Our second last card is Waboku, which is a simple little trap card. Very early in the Yu-Gi-Oh game this was created. Waboku. You take no battle damage from your opponent's monsters this turn. You take no battle damage from your opponent's monsters this turn, and your monsters cannot be destroyed by battle this turn. Waboku is basically peace. For 1 turn, you take no damage from battle, and your monsters can't be destroyed by battle. It's basically a battle phase, nobody gets hurt this turn. Very simple, very useful, very effective, and definitely an old school card. And our final card in this Yu-Gi-Oh! Cyber Dragon Revolution structure deck is going to be a classic Call of the Haunted, a classic resurrection card. Activate this card by targeting 1 monster in your graveyard. Special summon that target in face-up attack position. When this card leaves the field, destroy that target. When that target is destroyed, destroy this card. Very simple. It revives one of your monsters in attack position. When this card goes, the monster goes. And that is Call of the Haunted. And so comes the end of this video. Or maybe not. I actually have something special up my sleeve for this. Normally, I've unboxed the structure deck. I would just be like, okay everyone, thank you very much for your time, thank you for the support, I'll see you all later, take care. But I've realized that in Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans who are also fans of ASMR will bump into this video at some point, I would hope. So, any fans of Cyber Dragons are going to click in this video. So rather than limit myself to just the Cyber Dragon cards that are in this structure deck, I thought I'd treat you all with something. I would like to show you, not all of them, but at the time I filmed this video, I had a few Cyber Dragon cards lying around that I already had. So I thought it would be fun, since we're already talking so much about them, to just have a little bonus episode added in. So, you're going to get even more Cyber Dragon cards to talk about and relax to. I hope you enjoy, my friends. What I've been using as a prop in this video is one of my older Cyber Dragon cards. This one is shiny, holographic. This is a classic card, 100%. Now, we also have free alternate artwork Cyber Dragons. So, if you're a fan of that dark silver appearance, here's what 3 of them can look like. I also had a Cyber Barrier Dragon lying around. Not in the greatest of condition, admittedly, but Cyber Barrier Dragon's one of the oldest Cyber Dragons. It's not as useful as the ones nowadays, but I thought you Cyber Dragon fans would appreciate seeing something like this. It's a level 6 light-type monster, and its effect, you need an attack reflector unit to summon it, which is a unique spell card. Now, while this card is in attack position, negate your opponent's first attack. So, it's got 2800 defense. Your opponent attacks it, you can negate the first attack. Very simple, very useful. So, I just thought it would be nice to show you different Cyber Dragons besides the ones in this video. While I do believe there's a lot of really useful Cyber Dragon cards, I can understand not needing Cyber Barrier Dragon, but there are some cards that really would have made this structure deck really powerful. For example, you only get 1 Cyber Twin Dragon. I personally would roll with 3 of them. They're that useful. You want to have as many extra deck cards like that as possible. It can really be useful. So here are 3 Cyber Twin Dragons I had lying around. Very useful cards. And I also had this card lying around. I don't understand why they didn't include at least one of these in the structure deck, considering it's so focused on Cyber Dragons, but you have Cyber Dragon, a level 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 light type machine monster. This is basically the cyber equivalent of Blue Eye's Ultimate Dragon. It simply requires 3 Cyber Dragons as opposed to 2. And if this card attacks, you can inflict piercing battle damage. It has an attack of 4,000 and a defense of 2,800. So, my only complaint with the structure deck is you should have included at least one of these. Cyber Dragon's a great boss monster. You can use, for example, you could use limiter removal to boost this card's attack to 8,000, or you could use Power Bond to boost it to 8,000. And this is a card with piercing battle damage, so it can only attack once, but if the opponent's defending, they're still going to take damage. I feel like the people who made this structure deck, it's still a fun little structure deck, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy it, and I've enjoyed unboxing it for you all. But this is one card I absolutely would have included. But, you know, it's still fun for beginners. I like it. Then we get into some of the fancier Cyber Dragon cards. We have the Chimera Tech Over Dragon, which is a dark type level 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Wait, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yes, a level 5. A level 9, sorry. A level 9 dark type machine fusion monster with an effect. Must be fusion summoned using Cyber Dragon and more than one machine monster. Must be fusion summoned. If this card is fusion summoned, send all other cards you control to the graveyard. The original attack and defense of this card each become equal to the number of fusion materials used for its fusion summon times 800. Each turn, this card can attack your opponent's monsters a number of times equal to the number of fusion materials used for its fusion summon. So, every card you sacrifice can be used to give this card attack and an extra attack per turn. It's basically a Cyber Hydra, which is a very cool looking thing. It may not have Cyber Dragon in its name, but it requires Cyber Dragon as one of the materials. A dark attribute, Cyber Dragon. Very cool, very different, very interesting. Now, if you want to get back to the light side, we have a more recent Cyber Eternity Dragon. This thing makes me think of Shenron from Dragon Ball Z, a big, huge, holy dragon that looks like it grants wishes, but this one is made of metal. Cyber Eternity Dragon is a light type level 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. A level 10 light type machine fusion monster with an effect. Requires 1 Cyber Dragon monster and 2 machine monsters. So 3 materials. If you have a machine fusion monster or monsters in your graveyard, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. If this fusion summon card you control is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card, you can special summon 1 Cyber Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard. You can banish this card from your graveyard, and this turn, your opponent cannot target fusion monsters you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Basically, Cyber Eternity Dragon is your big Cyber Guardian Angel. Very cool in appearance. Is an attack of 2,800 and a remarkable defense of 4,000. Not a lot of cards get up to 4,000 with defense, so this is a fun little defensive card. And it serves almost like a light counterpart to something like Chimera Tech Over Dragon. Light, darkness. Very cool. And apologies, but I don't have all the Cyber Dragon cards. I just noticed I had a few lying around, and I thought, since this video is focused on the things, and I've mentioned them 100 times, I might as well show you them while I'm here. It means people who are a fan of this sort of archetype can maybe get a glimpse at some cards they may not have seen. So, we'll finish off the video with a card that we found in one of my other ones. I'd like you to take a look at the final card of this video. The Xyz Cyber Dragon Infinity. I'm going to take this out of the sleeve, actually, so you can see the shininess. The black-colored Cyber Dragon Infinity. Rank 6. Cyber Dragon Infinity really looks like a final boss of a game. It looks wonderful. Cyber Dragon Infinity. Machine Xyz with effect. Requires free level 6 light machine monsters. Once per turn, you can also Xyz summon Cyber Dragon Infinity by using Cyber Dragon Nova you control as material. Transfer its materials to this card. Gains 200 attack for each material attached to it. Once per turn, you can target one face-up attack position monster in the field. Attach it to this card as a face-up material. Once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, very nice, you can detach one material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. So Cyber Dragon Infinity can absorb your opponent's monster and use it to shield itself. And also you can Xyz summon Cyber Dragon Infinity by using a Cyber Dragon Nova as material. It is a very cool final boss looking monster, and a fitting way to end a video which is all about Cyber Dragons. And given the popularity of this archetype, Cyber Dragon very much could be Infinity. They might continue to make cards of this for as long as Yu-Gi-Oh! Is out. I reckon it's as popular as something like Dark Magician and Blue Eyes. It's one of those staple cards you see all the time. And I hope, as cool as this card is, that we continue to see archetypes get such love and support over the years. And that is finally the end of this video. This has been Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game, Cyber Dragon Revolution. Thank you very much for joining, my friends. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I had a blast making it. A lot of things went wrong in the making of this video. We had some issues with animal control. Me mispronouncing names, all that kind of stuff. I don't put any particular skill into filming these things, but I hope what you got was a raw, honest, relaxing kind of experience. It's just us two, as friends, chilling out, relaxing, watching a bunch of cool trading cards being opened and talked about. Hopefully, whether you're into Yu-Gi-Oh! Or trading card games, or into this at all, I just hope that you enjoy this, and it helps your life out in some way. I'm truly grateful to every one of you for the company. If you like this kind of content, please feel free to give me a like, comment, or subscribe. Or specifically, if you like Yu-Gi-Oh! Content, go onto my main channel, Alakazam ASMR, and go to playlists. I have a playlist with a Yu-Gi-Oh! Folder in there. There is a playlist that has every single Yu-Gi-Oh! Video I have on the channel, which will save you the bother of having to look it all up. If you see something you like, let me know how you get sent there. Let me know that you use the playlist. I just think it's a useful little tool if you want to look up all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff I have to offer. And I'll continually be updating it as long as this channel keeps going forward. I've done a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Content, and I hope you enjoy it all, and my other projects that I have cooking up at the moment. Until then, that's the end of this video. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, my friends. And remember, no matter who you are or where you are. Have a good time, alright? This is Alakazam ASMR. Please, I hope you have a wonderful day, no matter who you are or where you are. Thank you for your time, my friend. I'll see you soon. Auf Wiedersehen and adios, my friends. More content will be ready in the future, and thank you for joining me along on this little adventure of ours. Take care, my friends.